I wouldn't be surprised if the digital nomad Illuminati came after me for this video. The marketing, yo, it's all hype, it's all glamour, it's all, ooh, I have my laptop by the pool. That's never been me. I feel like I'm a hypocrite. I am someone who has publicly identified as a digital nomad. I don't want to water down what I want to say around this. Of course, ultimately, it's my opinion and perspective. Feel free to disagree, but I still want to have an open conversation about what it is really to be like a digital nomad. So in this video, I'm calling out myself, I'm calling out the lifestyle in general, and I'm also calling out a lot of the negative side effects of this lifestyle that people aren't talking about enough. We talking savings and hidden costs, digital nomad culture, mental health impacts, the biggest challenge, and my advice to current and future nomads. Timestamps in the description. Feel free to skip around, y'all. A lot of the key parts to my strategy, which I have very blatantly advertised as this is a great way to save money. Of course, if you travel to a place with a lower cost of living, that's even better. I'm gonna put that on blast because it's seriously a double-edged sword. In 2022, I spent over $20,000 on rent. This year, 2023, I spent a little over $7,000 in rent and airfare. Yes, I'm Black and a woman, so I can think of all the ways that I'm disenfranchised, but that doesn't really shield me from the privileges that I have blatantly exercised as a digital nomad from the US, traveling to places with lower cost of living where my dollars can stretch further. The first place I traveled as a digital nomad is Mexico City. The impact of digital nomads on gentrification is appalling and it's undeniable. You are having an impact on that local economy in a way that's very different from when you're a tourist. You're basically a local renter driving up costs like we're seeing right now in Mexico City, reshaping the landscape of businesses in those areas, displacing locals who could no longer afford to live where now all these digital nomads have deemed desirable. Of course, there's really good things about digital nomad culture. There's adventure. There is a willingness to go against the grain, against the norms, and define your own path. Those are all beautiful things. But when I think about it from the type of impact I may be having on local communities, my own privilege and how I'm exercising it to the detriment of other people and other communities, it's not something I feel particularly proud to promote. Something that I've seen in a lot of digital nomads, not all, but a lot, there is an entitlement that comes in you being a foreigner and entering a space, knowing you don't know the language and not even trying to meet people halfway, or not really even trying to gain some language skills because you know you will be accommodated, and you usually are. When you think about the immigrant experience in different countries, especially in the US, which is known to be very xenophobic, known to not treat immigrants well. We have so many migrants here right now who are literally just living outside of police stations. It's just such a ridiculous double standard. Like, people who literally are evading horrible situations, looking for opportunities, are not accommodated, even though they're the ones in need. But us who are approaching this travel and relocation as an opportunity for leisure and self-exploration are accommodated. It's just really fucking gross. As a Black woman traveling, I can't help but to notice how few Black people I see when I travel to a lot of destinations, which is why I'm very eager to promote Black travel in a lot of different forms. But still, Black folks, we are not immune to the gentrification and the negative impacts of our travels, especially if we're coming from countries that are more affluent and traveling to places that are in development. Just clarifying that before I start talking about the white folks. This is completely anecdotal. Don't come for me for saying this. I've had an experience where I was in a travel group of digital nomads. The group in question was excessively Caucasian, excessively Western. We were in a bubble, like we really only interacted with each other. We were in Costa Rica for a month. I can't even think of a single person who we interacted with who was a local, who wasn't cleaning our spaces, entertaining us, serving us at a restaurant or something like that.
Some of my best friends live next door to black people.
They were really adventurous in the type of experience. Like, I talking about experience binging as a digital nomad is trying all the things, doing all the things. But one thing that they were very unadventurous about was experiencing the local experience, having local cuisine.
Should I say this? Okay, most of this group is white, and I swear, we've had more Italian food. I feel like I should be in damn Italy. I've like yet to have Caribbean food with them, so I run away to have my Caribbean fix. I'm like, we're in Costa Rica.
There were people in the group I was traveling with who would have Italian food, no exaggeration, 3 times a week minimum. Like, they would go to Italian food every damn day. And I would just escape by myself and have some of the local cuisine, because duh, I'm gonna have that while I'm here. And at one point I was talking to someone about it in the group, and they were like, oh, Costa Rican food is basic. I'm like, how are you calling Costa Rican food basic in Costa Rica when you're having Italian food in Costa Rica? Like, what is more basic? I didn't say that. I was in a deeper depression during that whole trip. That was just really fucking exhausting on so many levels. Traveling amongst other digital nomads really highlighted a lot of things that I personally find kind of icky and gross about the culture that I am still guilty of. So I'm calling out my own hypocrisy here. When I think of digital nomads and what would even drive someone to be a digital nomad, I can't help but to think that there is some level of escapism. I've met a lot of digital nomads who are fresh off a breakup. Rom-coms got that right too. People be going on vacations after being dumped. I'm sure there are a lot of digital nomads like me who just quit a job or are just wilding out, or just like, I'm going to rediscover myself. There is an individualism to your self-exploration. So the community ties are just really fucking hard to create. We are social creatures as humans, so if you're in a situation where you're constantly traveling around, especially alone, and you're encountering other people who are doing the same thing, it just feels very transient. I felt a strong deprivation around the community front. I definitely felt a lot of superficiality with some of my ties. And I do want to add to that and clarify, it's not like because I'm only meeting people for a short time means I can't stay in touch for life. Like, I have friends all around the world that I met once, like, what, 5-6 years ago, and we still talk regularly. So it's not even about the transience of meeting people in different places. It's just, there's something very individualistic about the digital nomad mindset. There can often be a experience binging component of it. People promoting digital nomad lifestyle like it's an infinite vacation. Being on a never-ending vacation sounds amazing in theory, but it eventually gets to a point where you're like, damn, I'm never in my own space. I'm always in someone else's space. I'm always a guest. A lot of the times when you're a digital nomad, space is so scarce, so it's hard to hold on to those sentimental, homey type of items. Like, I have photos I carry around with me. It's just so important to bring a sense of home with you. But it's nothing like having your own cultivated space. There's nothing like home. There's no place like home. We need to talk about the mental health toll of being a digital nomad. In my last video, I mentioned being completely depressed on Christmas, needing to fall apart. My last Christmas was up there in my most depressing Christmases. That was after a month-long digital nomad trip that completely depleted me, that was just nowhere near fun. As a digital nomad this year, it was really challenging on my mental health. Let's just start there. I moved around. I've lost count. We're mid-June 2023. I've already been to 5 countries, 8 flights. Oh my gosh. And I've changed my location 21 times. Is that right? And I'm pretty sure I changed my location another 15-20 times since then. Traveling is really fucking exhausting. It sucks. This having to pack all your shit. Oh my gosh, the weight limits, so stressful. My shit was always overweight. I was always wearing like 5 different layers, which of course looks kind of crazy when you're flying from Costa Rica to Colombia or Colombia to Mexico. But you do what you gotta do with these weight limits. Nothing is set to default. It's so hard to maintain basic wellness routines. And also everything that you do in your regular life, you have to actively think and reconstruct in a new home environment. Like, where do you go for groceries? And let alone if there's a language barrier component, you may need to freshen up your vocabulary before you do any simple errand or chore. With being a digital nomad, you also may forget or may even take for granted all of the things that you're leaving behind.
I'm getting sentimental. This about the people I'll miss, the community I'll miss, just being in a place where you know people will be checking in on you. I feel like I'm losing a lot of stuff by going.
It's really exhausting to be in an environment where you don't have any community. There is a pressure to always be on in a way, because when you're meeting new people, you come with a very specific energy. So often when I'm not feeling the best version of myself, I'm not in that meeting new people energy, I would often self-isolate. But I felt like that all the fucking time. So I just did a lot of self-isolation. My anxiety and depression got really bad. And I think part of it was there's very different types of digital nomads economically. If you are strapped for cash and the people you're around find a lot of entertainment by spending money that you don't have, that could be a form of social isolation too. People were like, oh, it's so much cheaper here to skydive, let's do it here, but it's still $80 that I don't have. I think the hardest part about being a digital nomad was it felt like I didn't have another option. Being a digital nomad allows you freedom, but it also requires your flexibility too. As someone who left her job, who hasn't felt particularly financially stable, it allowed me some level of a sense of financial stability to pet sit and just go wherever the pet sitting gigs were.
I'm actually living rent-free, basically, thanks to house sitting and pet sitting for the next several months.
But if anything, I feel like financial stability and craving it is what kept me in a lifestyle that wasn't serving me for too long. Stability in community, routine, finding stability in my own mental health, my own homeostasis, giving myself what I needed emotionally. That has allowed me to step out of the scarcity mindset and find bravery to go towards what I actually wanted, which is very ironic because people assume that there is an inherent bravery with being a digital nomad, but I definitely felt stuck. I know there are a lot of things that attract people to the digital nomad lifestyle. Like, if you're willing to uproot yourself in this way, you're clearly seeking a disruption, a change. I hope all the digital nomads find what you're looking for, find that peace and perspective. But I hope that you allow yourself that in a way that's authentic. I hope you consider ways to stop it if it no longer serves you. Don't be like me and just feel like you have to continue it until one specific fixed outcome. Allow yourself the lifestyle you want, even if it's not the brave, sexy nomad. And I also hope that digital nomads, myself included, hold ourselves to a higher standard. Yeah, it's cool and sexy to travel around, but if your values are about inclusion and acknowledging your privilege, which mine are in so many spaces, but I haven't really shown a true light on being a digital nomad. I've definitely given myself passes, and I think I needed to give myself passes because financially, I'm incredibly privileged. A lot of people in different parts of the world do not have the option of quitting their job and moving to somewhere lower cost of living. They might already be in a lower cost of living area and need to thug it out. And that sucks that not everyone has the opportunities and freedoms that I did and have currently. All right, I've been talking forever. If y'all have more questions, more thoughts about being a digital nomad, the rough parts, the sexy parts that are a little less sexy, not all that glitters is gold. There's some poo-poo in the water there. These are definitely half-baked first draft thoughts, so thanks for bearing with me through that. And yeah, happy travels, happy staying at home, happy building the life you want, period. Peace.